Hello everybody, my name is Matthew, also known as Slainline on the Discord. I just decided to put together a Station API tutorial series just to make it really straightforward and easy, especially, starting out it's kind of difficult. You got to know where all the folders are and everything like that. So today we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. Uh, to make sure you have IntelliJ installed and you're going to want to clone from this repository that I will have it in the description of this video. You can go ahead and clone it. And you'll be greeted with this right away. So there's a couple things that you got to do before we even get started with anything, okay? So right here, you want to click on this elephant, which is Gradle, and you're going to click on the settings and go into Gradle settings, and you're going to change from whatever it's on. It could be like 21 or whatever, okay? And you're going to want to basically change into this Tamarin 17. And if this isn't here, then you're going to press download JDK, go to 17, and then to Tamarin, which is right here. And then once you do that, you just press download. But I already have it downloaded, so I'm just going to select it from this menu. But once it's downloaded, it'll pop up in this menu. Okay, and it gives you like a loading bar. So that's the first step. All right. So it's gonna also right here. It's gonna take a while to load. For me, it only took a little while because I already have everything downloaded. But it'll like count down here. Before you continue with this video, I recommend just waiting for it to finish loading all that stuff. And then the last thing that we're going to want to do for the setup is I created this Python script. Make sure you have Python 3 installed. And if you don't, you can just look it up. You can install it. But if you type in Python 3 setup.py inside of this terminal button down here in IntelliJ, it'll basically configure the project for you based off what you tell it. And I'm going to be having a new project for every single video. So I'm going to run through this setup.py. Like everything before will be the same, but I'm going to run through this setup.py the same every single time. But this time we're gonna look at how to add hay bales. So I'm going to set the mod ID to hay bales, and I'm going to say adds hay bales to oh beta 1.7.3, and I'm the author, hay bales. And the Maven group, I'm just going to do what my usual Maven group is. All right, cool. So that's all done. And if you click under this source main Java, you can notice that it's all renamed to everything relating to us. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now let's go and make sure that it runs, okay? So also after changing those files in the script, I would recommend clicking on Gradle and reloading it again. It'll just update everything, but it's not a requirement. But over here, if you click on current file, Minecraft client will be here. If it's not here, you can close and reopen your IntelliJ, and it will be here. But you just click on Minecraft client. And actually, there's one more thing before we get started with Minecraft client, which is a common issue. You click on these three dots and you press edit. Right here, it's set to Java 17 for me when it should be on Tamarin 17. So just make sure this is on Tamarin 17 before you run it. And we might as well set it on the server as well because we'll probably get into that at some point. But also inside of this client, I like to put in some um, basically program arguments to tell Minecraft what's happening. I'm just gonna put in my username, the width of the window, and the height of the window, just for my convenience. So I'm gonna press apply and OK, and I'm gonna press the little play button here. So yep, it's launching as expected. Let me just create a world that we're going to be doing our test stuff in. Yep, it works as expected. All right, so let's go ahead and get into actually adding the blocks, okay? So we're going to actually start off with this, basically it's called an event listener, and we're just going to create a new Java class, and we're going to call it block listener. And usually you'd put this in a folder, but I'm not going to do any of that because that's kind of like at your own discretion kind of thing. But in here, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to type, this is from alpha 2 of StationAPI, entry point dot namespace, or alpha 1 even, and we'll do private. I'm making it private because I don't want to access this from other classes. And I should also mention that you probably want like a background in Java before trying this, but Yeah, but just make sure on the second namespace here, you're importing this last one. Well, it could be in any order, but just make sure it's of Station API mod entry point. Actually, no, we want this one. Net modification station API util. That's the one we want. Great. So just make sure that these are right because that could cause issues. I'm just gonna name it mod ID because that's just what I'm used to. It could also be all caps namespace, but I'll just name it mod ID. And then null.get. Okay, so this when the mod runs, this null.get will just be basically replaced with your actual mod ID, and so it's just useful for creating blocks and stuff. And next up, we're gonna also make an event listener, and this event listener, I'll just do public static void, and then I want to register blocks. And so there's an event called register, or like actually block register event. I'm pretty sure block registry event. There you go, and then event. So this now will be called when we're registering blocks. And a block that we want to probably start with is a hey block, obviously. So let's go ahead and do a public static. You're going to want to make the block itself public because it's going to be used in public places by other mods in your own hey block. So there we go. Here's our hey block. And we can actually start off with that hey block like this equals new, and then it's going to be template block. And here's where we like pass a bunch of information about the block. Um, just based off of my own time that I did of this stuff, I know like it's going to be dot, and we're going to set the hardness to 0.6f, the same amount as dirt, and also the blast resistance will be this. I'm not sure what it is. I'm just going to set it to 1. Just one. Okay, cool. And so inside of here, it's like okay, there should be stuff in here. The stuff that needs to be in here is like mod ID dot ID and then the translation key. So like it's basically just the name of the block with underscores as spaces. And then also the other thing that we need is what sort of material it's made out of. And I know that it's made out of like, well, we can just go with leaves because yeah, that'll work. Okay, so also we want to set the sound group so that it sounds like the correct thing because we don't want it to sound like glass, for example. Like I don't know, there's like a default sound, but we're gonna go ahead and like here's the dirt sound group, and we'll set it to that. And we also actually I should probably put this before. We also want to set the translation key, and this is again going to be mod ID.id and then hey block. So it'd basically be the same exact thing that you have right here. Or it could really be anything you want, but it doesn't really ever make sense to do anything other than this. So we'll just go with that. Okay, so this is basically all we need to make a functional block. But if I ran the game right now, it wouldn't show up, and it's because like this is never really called, and so we need to tell basically StationAPI. Yep, this code needs to be run. So how we do that is we go into resources and then fabricmod.json, and you can see all of the information we typed in earlier is right here, as well as like down here. But we basically want to go to the StationAPI event bus, and we want to basically add our block listener. And so it's going to be the same path, like com, your Maven group, and then the mod ID, and then dot. And instead of hay bales, I'm going to do block listener. And just it should be green when it works. Of course, that'll only really work, I believe, if you have to basically go into settings and go to plugins. And if you look up Minecraft, there's this Minecraft development plugin, and you can press install, and it'll ask you to restart. I'm not going to install it or update it or anything because I already have it. But it would say install, and then it'd say reset your IDE, and you just click on it, and it'll close and reopen. So, anyways, this should be green. If I hold control and click on it, it brings me to this, so we know that it's all connected right. If it's not connected right, it'll just run and you won't even know what's like happening. You're like, why is my block not showing up? Well, it's because it's not linked up right. All right, so I'm gonna run that really quick. And if we go in here and do /give, hey bales, hey block. Ah, here we are. We have this block that looks really, really ugly right now because we never gave it a texture, but it's basically a block. Okay, so we've added a block successfully. So let's give it a texture now. So let's yeah, let's first give it a texture. So I'm gonna make another file. I'm gonna basically name it texture listener, and we're gonna copy the same stuff that we basically did in here, which is this namespace, and we're gonna have another event listener, and it's gonna be public static void register textures. It's probably texture register event. Yeah, that's interesting. This one's register event, and this one's uh, registry event, but it's whatever. So there we go. Okay, so what we're gonna now want to do is we want to grab the existing texture file, which is going to be the terrain file, which is if you've done any other Minecraft modding for early versions, it's basically let's see, let me import this. It's basically that one file that has all the textures inside of it. Oh, I see, atlases dot get terrain. There we go. So we're gonna go ahead and use this, and since there's multiple textures for the hay bale, I mean, usually how it would work is that we could just do block listener dot here. Actually, and we'll even do this for a second. Hey block dot texture ID is equal to, and then we use terrain dot add texture, and then in here we're gonna do mod ID dot ID of, and then we want to basically put in the path to the texture. So we can't do that yet because we don't actually have the texture. And I'll keep the texture, like the texture files are going to be in the description below, and like probably a Dropbox link. But if you download those and you create this directory, which is going to be, we're going to have StationAPI um, textures block. So it should be assets, your mod ID, StationAPI, textures, block. And this like lots of folders thing is pretty common. So I mean, it is what it is. So I have these two textures here that you're gonna download, and there they are, these two textures. And just take note that like this part has to be the same, and then you can name this whatever. But I recommend block if it's gonna be blocks. And so I'm going to do block slash, and then I'm just going to do the hey block side. So just make sure that this is exactly the same or else it won't work. So if you go in and the texture looks specifically like pink or purple, um, it's because that didn't work. Like you need to make sure that this file is here in exactly the right spot and this is typed out correctly. But anyways, we just type dot index, and that should be all that we need to do. Oh, actually, there's one more thing. If I go into here, textures are only on a client, so instead of doing it up here, it would affect the server if I did it here. But obviously, you don't need textures on a server, so you're going to put it down here instead. And it's going to be that same kind of like pattern, and then texture listener. All right, make sure it's green, control click, yep, it connects. And just make sure that this is right, exactly lining up with this. So now if we run it, yep, there we go. We got a hay bale. But the top texture and presumably the bottom texture are wrong. But it looks it looks good. So let's go ahead and make the top and bottom texture the same. So again, this is perfectly fine. In fact, I would recommend like remembering this code if you want to just do every side of the block looks the same. But we are not going to be doing that. Instead, we're going to do public static int, and we're going to do hey block side. I just like to have this name right here the same as this name, which is the same as the actual texture. So that's kind of the convention that I follow. And I'm also going to do hey block top because that's the other file we have here. So I'm going to, instead of setting the block's texture ID, I'm going to set the side and the top of that block texture. And just make sure to change this from side to top as well. And now you're thinking, well, obviously these aren't connected to the block in any way, so how in the world do we get that inside of this guy? Well, this is about the time that we're going to make a custom block class. So let's create a new class, and we're gonna call it hey block because that's what it's called inside of modern. And then we're going to extend that template block because that's exactly what we had before. So if I look in here in this block listener, template block, right? So we're just going to add extra stuff to this. So we just create the same, if you press Alt Enter there, it'll prompt you to add this, and you can add that. And we're gonna make an override to, it's gonna be get texture and then inside. So this inside is important, but and like 0 and 1, 0 is the bottom and 1 is the top, and then the sides of it is like 1 or like 2 through 5. Yeah. So we're just gonna do if side is equal to 0 or side is equal to 1, or you could just do if side is less than 2, but we'll go this way for now for simplicity's sake. We're gonna return texture listener dot, and then that's gonna be the top and bottom, and then for the side we're gonna have the side. There you go. So don't run it yet because you see how this is grayed out. That means it's not actually being used, and this is like a common mistake. We want to go back into block listener and paste that right there. And yeah, it should work because it's just in the same folder here. But if it's red because you have like folders, you just press Alt Enter again and import it, and that should be good. So let's go and run that. And look at that, the bottom's looking like hay and the top's looking like hay. So there you go, we have the block. So now let's fix the name of it because we don't want to see tile.haybales.hayblock forever. I mean, that doesn't sound too great. So we're going to create, back in our StationAPI folder, we're going to create a new directory, and we're going to call this one lang for like language files. And we're going to create a new file, which is going to be en_us, and us should be capitalized, lang.lang. I'm going to add that. And if you have that Minecraft plugin installed, it'll give a little grass block. That's how you know that at least the file name is right. Just make sure it's in the exact same spot that I have right here. And what we're going to set that to is we're going to do tile dot, and then this at sign. This is a new addition in alpha 2. Hey_block. So make sure this is the same exact thing right here as we have in the block listener. This should be exactly the same. If it's not going to work if it's different. And then dot name, and don't forget dot name. That's pretty easy to forget because you're just like, oh, you just like this should work, right? But dot name and hey bell. So there we go. And now if we run it, hey bell, there you go. So that's great. So all right, that's really good. The only other thing that I want to grab from modern is, let me try on cheat so I can grab this really quick. Is that when you're breaking with OHO, it's supposed to break quicker, and this is something that's like pretty useful to know as well. So let's go ahead and make that work. So we're gonna make instead of assets, you're gonna go all the way up to your resources, and you're gonna want to right click and press new directory. And this one's gonna be kind of long, so it's gonna be data slash Minecraft slash station API slash tag slash blocks slash mineable. This is the same as modern, by the way, so I mean, take that as you will. But now we have all of these folders, and just make sure that they're exactly the same. So you're going all the way down to mineable, and you're going to create a new file. You're going to name it ho.json. And this will work with all the tools, so you can do pickaxe.json, axe.json, shovel.json, and this is something that you're going to have to do for every single block as well, to basically add them to be mineable to a certain tool. So we're going to go ahead and do these curly braces, values, colon, and then the square braces, and we're going to do hay bales, which is our mod ID, colon, and just make sure that, yeah, that is our hay, like hay bales, exactly the same as here, um, and then hay_block. So now if I go ahead and start it up again, as long as this is exactly the same, which by the way, it is tricky sometimes, it's not always the same. If we go in here now, that's breaking a lot quicker versus my hands, right? So that works as expected. All right, so let's go ahead and go back on over. So if I did hay block stairs, and I would also like to create another variable up here, stairs, is equal to new template stair block, and we'll just go ahead and pass on over we first want the identifier, right? The ID hey_block stairs, comma, and then we're gonna want that block from earlier. So we'll do hey block, and then I'll also set the translation key so that we can give it a name. So There we go. And all this stuff is going to be copied on over, so we don't have to worry about that from just putting this here. What we do have to worry about though is like this hoe is we're going to now have another one, which is stairs. And we're also going to want to change our lang file right here. So we'll just copy that. And instead of hey block, it'll be hey block stairs and hey bale stairs. And if I run it, and give hey bales, hey block stairs. You can see, wow, look at that. Looks just like every other stair in the game and works exactly as expected to. So that's pretty much all I wanted to show. I'll see you in the next episode.